If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe now. Click the bell icon next to it and select all to ensure you don't miss any of my latest videos. It has been almost a century since the Titanic disaster, and about 1,500 people died in that Titanic disaster. We all know that this Titanic tragedy shook the whole world. Movies have been made about it. Songs have been made about it. Books have been made. In fact, music has also been made for the passengers in it. And it is a known fact that the iceberg was the primary reason for the Titanic sinking. But what many people do not know is that there were many factors before and after this iceberg for this Titanic disaster to happen on such a large scale. So today in this video, let's learn about 10 other reasons why the Titanic sank, not just the iceberg. So why not? Let's get into the video. Number 1. Calm waters is basic and may sound a little crazy to you, but sometimes it is. If the water is very calm, it is very dangerous in the sea. In fact, there are big waves. If you compare it to that day, April 14, 1912, the passengers were enjoying the weather that day. And in fact, a survivor said that for a few miles, the water was very calm and looked like a molten silver. We didn't see any waves anywhere. So we felt very, very good. So when there are no waves in the water, there is no luminescence from the plankton. So basically, this luminescence reaches around the iceberg and makes it shine. So then the iceberg is visible to us from a distance. But when there are no waves in the water, there is no luminescence from the plankton. And sometimes, what happens is that when the night is very clear, the icebergs are visible from 1 to 3 miles away, but what happened that day was that the moon was completely covered in clouds. The moon's lighting was not there, so the calm waters gave them a kind of safe and secure feeling. So what happened was that they went faster than they should have. If there had been fog or waves, they would not have gone as fast. So that's what caused the accident. So even if the water was pleasant, the problem was the number 2/4 hole in the ocean. Most of the passengers on the Titanic were asleep when it hit the iceberg. It was 11:40 at night. But their ship suddenly shook and suddenly stopped. The passengers who saw all this wanted to know what had happened. They opened the windows in their rooms. They opened them and put their heads out and saw what had happened. And then everyone came and ran. Go to the deck. The lifeboards are going. Go. When they said, go, they opened the windows like that. Everyone fled in fear of their lives. When those portholes were left open, water entered the ship much faster than normal. As a result, the Titanic sank much faster than it should have. According to a Titanic expert named Tim Maltin, even if 12 portholes were opened, the damage would have been double. In such a situation, hundreds of portholes were left open in the Titanic and the curious passengers left. As a result, the damage was very, very bad. The ship sank quickly. Number 3. Rivets. Nowadays, ship plates are welded using oxyacetylene torches. But in 1912, all steel hull plates were held together by rivets. They were hammered hard with a hammer. So everything was done by hand. Recently, a person named Tim Folk, a metallurgist, and a person named Jennifer Hooper McCarthy, both of them a study of the materials used on the Titanic, revealed that the rivets used were extremely low grade and very, very dangerous. In fact, at that time, luxury liners used normal kind of rivets. But these were much lower grade rivets than those. But no one knows why they did that. But they definitely used low-grade quality items. Maybe they couldn't find higher-grade rivets, or if there was a last-minute problem. But they definitely used low-grade quality items. Maybe they couldn't find higher-grade rivets, or if there was a last-minute problem. But they definitely used very, very bad quality rivets. If you hit them with a hammer, they would immediately shatter into pieces. Both McCarthy and Folk also reported that this was also one of the reasons for the Titanic disaster. Number 4. A typo. Captain Edward Smith received a warning message from many ships on the day the Titanic was sinking. The ship's course was adjusted accordingly so that it would not hit the ice. But on the night of April 14th, not 1, not 2, but a total of 9 other warnings also came. Even when it was heading west, one of them came from the liner Mesaba, but it did not reach Smith. This liner Mesaba also sank in 1916. Let's say that is a different matter. But the Mesaba wireless operator said that the Titanic was now going in the same direction, and that there was ice in the severe range in that direction. He told them a very clear message. But he wanted to say MSJ on it. That is not just something that the wireless operator saw and left. It must be shown to the captain and it must be signed by the captain. They send MSJ with the intention of saying that it is okay. For some important messages, the Mesa operator also sent the same message. But what did he do wrong? He sent MAJ instead of MSG. So that is why the radio at that time, the operator, Jack Phillips, who was working on the Titanic, had already been receiving very, very loud warnings. He got fed up with all of them and ignored them. He also pushed this warning aside along with the other warnings. And the message did not reach Captain Smith. If this message had reached Captain Smith, maybe he would have slowed down or changed the old one. But that did not happen. That is why the accident happened. Number 5, last-minute order. Basically, even some small things can have a very big impact. This is also an example of what the first officer of this ship, William Murdoch, immediately ordered everyone to reverse the ship's propellers at the last minute. But it was already too late to avoid the collision. The ship could not be reversed. But even if the propellers were stopped, the ship would not have gone that fast and hit. Scientist Richard Corfield says that Murdoch actually wanted to save the ship, meaning it was the most expensive ship. The one who had already become a White Star was in a lot of debt. So it was a big problem if it was completely destroyed, so he wanted to save the ship. But that made the danger even greater. The steering propeller, whatever it was not turning completely, so the turning ability of the ship was not fully working. And at that time he told it not to turn it back but to slow down the engine or to reverse the thrust. Even if he had told it to turn back, the Titanic would have avoided the iceberg. Number 6. No binoculars. One binoculars, one key that can save the Titanic from sinking? Do you believe that? But unfortunately that didn't happen. Basically, there are many people on that ship, and especially lookout people. Their job is to see icebergs and inform the captain immediately if other ships come near them. But if they have binoculars, they can see a little further away, so they can tell them about the danger coming from a long distance. But the problem is that there is a person named David Blair. That person put those binoculars in a locker in the crowded nest and locked them. At the last minute, Blair was reassigned from the Titanic to the RMS Olympic. So, while he was going from this ship to that ship, he left with the keys to that room in his pocket. So, maybe they didn't think to break the locks and take them away at that time. They didn't break it, and the Titanic lookout Frederick Fleet said that if I had had binoculars I would have seen it earlier. At first I can't say for sure, but he definitely said that the Titanic would have easily escaped this accident. But then the investigation said that no, even with binoculars this accident would have definitely happened, but the level of danger would have been reduced a little. Number 7. Shut up, Jack Phillips. I already told you about the wireless officer. He was going from Belfast to New York City. Basically, he was in a most unfortunate position. If anyone wanted to contact the Titanic, he had to contact Donnie first. There were many warning messages, but he didn't pass them all on to Captain Smith. That was one of the main problems. The most famous example is that at 10:55 that night, the nearby ship SS Californian noticed a large amount of ice in the area and immediately informed the Titanic about it. Do you know what Phillips responded to them? Keep out, shut up, I'm working. The message was so loud in Phillips' ear that he couldn't hear Caprice's words. He got angry and told them to shut up. And then, when warnings came again, another ship scolded him and turned off the radio. That's why it took a long time for the Titanic to make a distress call. Even after many hours, other people came. In this gap, the ship sank under the water. Number 8. Speed. Many Titanic experts say that the Titanic was traveling faster than it should have been that night, so they say that it hit the iceberg. Basically, some say that Captain Smith wanted to beat the previous Atlantic crossing records of the White Star Line ships, which is why they are going so fast. Others say that if Smith had been late to New York City, there would have been a lot of pressure on him and there was a chance that the White Star Line director, Bruce Izier, would have fired him. They also say that he could have gone faster. At the time the Titanic hit the iceberg, the Titanic was traveling at 22 knots, so it was only 2 knots less than its maximum speed. However, Captain Smith is not entirely wrong, but many ships at that time would have been going at that speed in such a situation. In fact, the standards of the time say that if a particular area is considered a dangerous area, that is, if it is considered a perilous zone, then the chances of accidents in that area are less if you leave that area as fast as possible. So he may have gone fast for that too. So whatever the reason is that the Titanic went fast. That speed is why the Titanic had such an accident. If it had gone slower, the situation would have been different. Number 9, coal fire. Basically, if an accident has already happened on a ship and it also has a fire accident and the ship has to sail the next day, many people do not want to go. If they do not know, they will leave, right? This is what happened in the case of the Titanic. Actually, in that period, most of the steamships also suffered fire accidents regularly. Because they all run on coal and spontaneous combustion takes place in that coal, so no one cares much about any accident. Similarly, on April 13th, there was a small fire in the Titanic's coal bunkers. No one cared much about it, but that was also a reason for the sinking of this ship. The coal bunker was very close to the front of the ship, so the structure of the ship was very seriously damaged, and in the area where the fire accident occurred, it went to that area and hit the iceberg. So that is why the damage was done very quickly. This was reported in the investigation conducted in 1912. Even British officials said this in their official inquiry. But the court rejected it. As historian Senan Molyneux said, maybe the judge had some shipping interests or else it should not affect the commerce of Ireland. They said that they thought that was why they gave such a verdict. And it seems true, right? And number 10, ignores distress calls. Captain Edward Smith was the captain of the Titanic. He tried very hard to save his ship and the people on it. He even sacrificed his life. That is why he is praised in many books, movies, museums, and everything. But everyone who sees him, a person named Stanley Lord, who should have been in the same kind of situation, is cursed by everyone. This person named Stanley Lord was the captain of the SS Californian ship. That ship was very close to the Titanic when it sank. Some people said that it was so close that if it had gone immediately and given assistance, not a single life would have been lost among those 1,500 people. But the Titanic people did not send distress signals. When the flares were thrown into the air, the Lord's crew members woke him up. The Lord, who had already been working continuously for 17 hours, dismissed them as company rockets. Company rockets mean that ships belonging to the same company would be thrown into the air to identify them whenever they encountered them. So he thought they were company rockets and went to sleep. Again, if the Lord had not neglected the Titanic's flares that day, his life would have been different. But now, it will continue to haunt him for the rest of his life. I mean, he is dead. But even if he becomes a spirit, I know it will continue to haunt him. I know him because he was indirectly responsible for the death of 1,500 people that day. So that's why he never got any respect, and in fact, a few days later he was fired from his job. That's another matter.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to be notified of future uploads. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.